Hi, this is Joe Collinger, and I would like to welcome you all to our webinar this morning, which is Empowering Your HR Department with Strategies for Visualizing Your Workforce. So we're going to take you through a walk of some of the practical things that we have done with our clients and some actual problems that have been solved. And so we're going to show you the challenges and the examples and what the results were. So I hope this is a session that's going to be informative and helpful for all of you. What I also want to say is this session is being recorded for your viewing pleasure at a later date. And then the other thing that would be important for you to note is that if you want to communicate with me, there is a little chat panel that's available within your GoToWebinar program there. So you can type that in. And we will have a Q&A session right at the tail end of this presentation. So I hope this is helpful and even somewhat enjoyable for all of you. So let's go through this for a second. My company is Officeworks Software, and what we're all about is providing solutions to help organizations better manage the workforce. Okay, so with that, our OrgChart solutions are the best in class for organizational insight. So OrgChart obviously is one of the things that we do, but really there's more than just the OrgChart visuals that we do. We also do workforce planning and visualization strategies. So we provide advice and consultation on how an organization could best get a view on their people and the talent within the organization. And so visualization strategies or ways of visualizing the workforce data are things we're going to be talking about. So we've been in business since 2005, over 7,000 customers around the world, and so we'll be talking about some of the real life experiences that we've had. Our tagline here is to visualize, analyze, and manage your workforce. So that's what we help our clients do. So anyway, day in and day out, we're working with our clients to package their HR data so as to provide management with timely and rich perspective on their people. And we're always looking for agile ways to do that. So many of you are familiar with the joke, perhaps not. There's a man who's searching diligently out in the dark, but he's under a lamppost at night. There's a guy who comes by, and the man under the light says, "I've lost my keys." So the passerby says, "Did you lose them under the lamppost?" And the guy says, "No." He says, "Well, why are you looking under the lamppost?" And the man answers, "Because there's no light anywhere else." So really what happens then is we tend to look in places, only the places where we can see, but we need to be able to find ways to even shine light in places that are kind of dark or obscure so that we can get a better understanding of what's going on in our organizations. And what our company is about and the visualization strategies I'm going to talk to you about are ways of turning the light on so you can see even more of what's going on in your organization. So it takes light to find the keys, and when you find the keys, then you can get what you need. And that's what our job is. We take HR data and we turn it into light so you can understand the organization and the real issues that are facing with you. And to do it in time so that you can do something about it. So the concept of data visualization goes with this idea that we could, for example, do you know the way to San Jose? Well, we could Google it and we could come up with a nice tabular list that's going to be showing us step by step how you would get to San Jose. Is this accurate? Well, we hope so. And I don't know how many of you have followed a series of steps in some kind of a navigation device or on a map and you found out that really it didn't get you there. But if we have some kind of a visual, okay, so something like a map, then we can see, for example, San Rafael is point A with the yellow box around it, and San Jose is point B. The steps are designed to get us there, but when we see the map, we now know the way to San Jose. We can see the straight line. And based on these instructions, we can also see context. So the wonderful thing about the visualization is we can now see if we want to stop at the beach or if we want to take the East Bay Freeway down to San Jose and points of interest along the way. So we see some opportunities because we can understand the context. And I think one of my favorite axioms is nothing is meaningful without context. And the visual helps you get context. The tabular was necessary, but the visual is going to give you context. And so we'll look at some examples of visualization strategies. So we can create insights for the present so that we can see into or predict the future. So the categories that we'd be looking at would be talent and workforce planning, so that we can have continuous improvement with our workforce to keep up with the market. Workforce engagement, so how do we leverage the best leaders, the up-and-coming talent, and just be able to capitalize on that. And then business agility, so our markets are changing, things are becoming more competitive. How do we continue to staff and improve, anticipating the skill sets that are needed, and to be able to plan for that? Well, visualization can be extremely helpful in all of those cases. So let's just take some basic things for visualization. Okay, this is the basic organization chart. Now I'm going to talk about more than organization charts, but just so you know, our company makes a world-class organization chart solution, and we'll tell you more about this at the end of the presentation, because you'll have an opportunity to see any of our tools, okay, and see where you can get a special offer. But let's just talk about basic org chart, and we can see the individuals here and how they are connected. All right, nothing profound here, but we've just taken a basic chart, and our tools actually automate things like this so that you don't have to be doing it by hand or dragging and dropping boxes. So we can see that Jerry reports to Michael and who's on a peer level and so forth. We can communicate who's working for who. That's really easy. But we've got more great data that is for each one of these individuals, and we could go beyond that. So here's an example where we could also include some additional data such as salary. So if you're doing organizational planning, you can take a look at what's the relative weight of each one of these individuals relative to the organization. And we could do some summary type information like what's the aggregate budget, the head count, the span of control, and so forth. All these things you now have insight into. You can additionally, for each one of these boxes, add that same data to show within the boxes. So again, we're going beyond the normal basic org chart, and you have additional information to do a visualization. To personalize it, so again, the idea of giving more context to the picture, we can add pictures. So now you can see the individuals, and it communicates something a bit richer when you remember the faces and the people and what the relative contribution is of each person. So again, these are tools that help you in the planning process. Our clients really appreciate these things. When it comes to the issue of performance, so we'll take that same data, but not only with an org chart, but also taking performance information in that. So you can now get a heat map that would show what this looks like for the individuals within the organization relative to who's in a critical position. Do we have people who are flight risks? Do we have people who are in positions where they're being underpaid? Do we have people in positions that need to find another position for them because of performance issues? So all of these things give you now the ability to create a heat map that enables you in the planning process to go beyond the spreadsheet, to go beyond the basic org chart, and to really get a clearer picture of the organization in context. So one thing I would mention, we have a client who was spending probably 4 months out of the year, it's a larger client, 4 months out of the year planning these heat maps for their talent review processes. They would do a roadshow like twice a year going across the country, working on preparing these documents for leadership meetings to make decisions about personnel. The process was taking so much time, it was effectively 4 months out of the year to do these maps. What we did with them is gave them an automated way of doing this same 4 months of work within 2 weeks. So what looks like something that could be a daunting task if you were to do it manually or try to do this in PowerPoint or a lot of drag and drop custom animation, this is very, very simple to do with just a spreadsheet. So as long as you have the data, then these views can be produced in some cases in minutes. In their case, they saved 3.5 months out of the year, and these maps, because they were rarely done in time, they really were not they couldn't previously be able to use them effectively in their executive meetings. But when they had this particular tool, now they were able to do these things in time, and as a result, they got a better result. So things like performance and potential, what else can we see within the organization chart? And again, here's another visualization. We can see the people, but also I've introduced a 9-box method of being able to understand the weight of each individual in the organization. And many of you are familiar with the 9-box method that would take 2 dimensions. We would take potential ranking and the performance ranking. So, and based on the 9 boxes, if someone scores both high on performance and high on potential, we would see the box colored green at the top right quadrant. And if the person was both medium in their potential and performance, then we'd see the yellow box in the center, or a red box if it was low on both counts. But again, populating this information allows, again, a richer context. So in your organization planning, these things become even easier for you to get a complete picture. Now, I'll talk about another one here that is very powerful. Some of our clients are facing situations where they have to gear up their staff for new talent, new skills. And here's an example where one organization needed to select 4 skill sets that were very important for their planning along the lines of communication, budgeting, public speaking, and writing. And so the chart that we created for them gave them an automation so that this could be very easily produced. And we can see here that if they're looking for someone who satisfies all 4 of the required skills, there's a person here who's very easy to visualize. So whatever the skill sets are that are needed, then there's little graphical representations that are very easy to automate and put into the program that will either turn on or turn off based on what set of attributes that you would like to see. So all of this becomes also very helpful when you're doing succession planning. And being able to identify these skill sets is really great because we're moving succession planning out of the executive offices, and now it's available for all the rank and file and all the people within the company who are in critical positions, even if they're at lower levels. So here's a view that's very easy to put together. This is one of our applications called OrgChart for Visio. And now there's another one here that's of interest. This is a skills mapping or a talent inventory. And we're dealing with a client who has a need to understand the future for their projects, their programs, and their organizations. So they divided it up into functional areas and then also bands of management. And if you'll see this example, it's an empty grid right now, but at the bottom of it there's a key, which I'll go into a little more detail. But the idea is within a critical program, you could see an org chart with colored by different data values. But if you wanted to get an aggregate view, then the org chart is really not the best solution because you'd have to hunt around for boxes that might be in different locations within a document. In this case, we want to plot people according to their function and according to their level and get some information about them concerning their skills, the the cost to value, their risk of flight, their critical skill sets, their contribution, and so these individuals can be plotted. Now, our client was in a situation where they would have to produce this manually for many programs where they wanted to ensure that they were going to have a high quality of talent available to finish the project. So let's just look at this example here. They would actually create this using PowerPoint, and each time they would do one of these documents, it would probably take 10 to 15 hours. So what we did for them is an automation, and the automation takes a look at, and this is our talent management, talent inventory tool. So we look at, first of all, a key that can identify individuals according to whether they're full-time, part-time, whether there's a vacancy, whether they're a flight risk. So that's an example. The other thing is, what do they cost relative to the contribution that they're making? We have those that are above average, significantly above average in terms of their cost, people who are far below, and people who are at market. And then things like their institutional knowledge. To what extent do they really understand the environment, the technology, the business? And then you can see on the left-hand side here, which is showing people who are top talent, critical skill sets, world-class subject matter experts. So there's a series of 25 different attributes that are going to go into a talent map. So here's an example of what one looks like that's been completed. Now, if you'll notice, if we just look in the left-hand side here for engineering and installation, we've got a number of people that are showing red in their boxes as well as green. So there's subcontractors, for example, who are a flight risk, who have a high degree of understanding of the business, who have critical skill sets, also who are very expensive. So each one of these people we can see plotted, and we can see their value, we can see the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats to the staff. So then what we can do with this is this now becomes the basis for a really great plan to ensure continuity and delivery for the project. So a little more detail as we zoom in on these. We can see for example, each one of them is capturing so much rich information just within each box. Now, you could look at tabular reports to accomplish something like this. However, tabular reports are not going to do it for you because you could comb through a series of tabular reports, but you're not going to get this rich perspective that we're seeing here. So again, this is the talent map. This is one of our products. It gives you a way of just taking a simple spreadsheet, collecting this information, and this view is produced within just a few minutes. So instead of wrestling for hours, then this thing can be done very quickly. So the skills and talent mapping here, we can see that it forms the basis for a solid plan to ensure business continuity. Okay? That's the key thing that we're after. We want to make sure that we don't have people leaving the project, leaving the organization, impeding the delivery of service and of value to our customers or to the clients. Automated monitoring. So what's great here is that as the data changes, then this diagram is refreshed and it shows the latest information. So you want to be able to leverage strength and ensure that you've got the right talent in place for the right cost. So it presents itself as a very easy way then to get a sense of who needs to be in a plan for retention, who needs to be in a plan for replacement, and then over the next 6 months or 12 months, you know you've got a good plan to be working to ensure that you're not going to have surprises. Lower costs and increased value. So wherever you can optimize labor costs, our client finds that this is really just a wonderful tool. So again, I'll go back to this idea of succession planning. So everybody wants to improve the talent, and so we've got a situation with one of our clients who is saying, I need a way to identify replacement opportunities for the incumbents. And so there's a legend that we're seeing here. People who are in red or yellow, that's based upon their proximity to retirement. And just a closer view here. In this chart, we see the name of the incumbent and their title. We also see 3 individuals who are potential replacements, and they are color-coded based upon their readiness to assume the position. So another rich visual that can be done, whether it's a small group or whether it's thousands of people, this kind of information is again, one of those things you can automate. And this perspective now gives you a way of seeing where it is there are critical points in the organization where you've got to replace somebody, and which individuals give you an opportunity to do so. So just say something else. So we've gone through the talent, the basic organization. We've taken a look at the succession planning. And in the process of succession planning, there's challenges associated with being able to bring in the right people, of course. So, we've got a philosophy on, focusing on strengths, not on weaknesses. And that means we want to be able to capture those attributes. And our clients want that, and so we're giving them new visualizations to be able to see how to do that. Choose wisely, because selecting the wrong people, as you all know, becomes just a real problem and soaks up a tremendous amount of your time. So what are some strategies for doing that? Well, you're all familiar with probably the magic quadrant. And this is another way in which we can visualize comparisons among any entities or candidates. So our client wanted a better way to compare the candidates they were interviewing for a significant position. And this quadrant seemed to fit just fine. And we've got a key here that's showing things like the culture fit, the years in the job, the relevant experience, if there's a compensation issue. But we could take those attributes as a result of and then go ahead and plot individuals first on their performance and their potential on the chart. Then we could profile what the ideal candidate would be. So the color of this, and as well as its size, is giving us a determination of what our goal is. If we capture the same information on the other people, then here's what our client did. They were able to plot and see maybe there were other people who had the skill sets that were of interest, but they didn't have the potential. Or maybe they didn't fit the culture. So this was a very convenient way of being able to do a comparison mapping. And again, it's another sanity check to make sure, are we choosing the right people? So this has been helpful as well. See the right candidate. All right. So another visual that we do for our clients is for candidate selection. So capturing, in this case, 5 different attributes, and along the lines of their education, talent in the field, certification, how well they interviewed. We could go ahead and plot the ideal candidate, and then based on a series of interviews, there's another way to plot these visuals. You always tend to remember the most recent person that was interviewed. Instead, by making these notations, now there's a great way to keep a visual record of this, and then quickly they can be compared. So we see the candidate then against the ideal candidate. Again, another great data point here for the organization selection. Here's another one which is probably my favorite. This is another visualization we do for our clients. When you get into space planning, okay, so you got to pick people. And another thing is you're trying to make sure that, where possible, you can do co-location of people who are working on similar projects or similar job functions. So in this case, we have it color-coded according to the departments that people are in. So, purple means one thing, green means another, and so forth. I've got a legend in the upper right-hand corner, which you can't see very well, but what is really powerful here is we've got the names of each person, the size of their office, their contact information, and this is all driven off of a spreadsheet. So the automation process, again, that's the common theme through all of this. We're taking basic information either from a database or a spreadsheet, and you push the button and you get these views. So it's all very easy to do. So if you decide you're going to do some kind of a building reorganization, then off of a spreadsheet's addresses, you can do a refresh and an update, and this map then changes. So our clients found that this was an incredibly helpful tool as they were trying to co-locate people. I don't know if you remember the IBM study that people who are sitting more than 65 feet apart may as well be in different cities. So if you're trying to foster creativity and cohesive teams, then wherever you can, you want to put people together and co-locate them. So that's one view. So optimize the placement of employees to stimulate communication and innovation. And that's another one that we've done that is greatly valued. So I'll just go through a conclusion here. Visualization is a powerful tool. Without context, you really can't understand what's going on with your organization data. And I've shown you several tools, several strategies that are available that we do for our clients. Gives you the ability to gain new insights. Again, the context with the data, with the proper rich visualization, gives you an ability to see this. You get a better understanding of the information that you have. You can make smarter decisions. So the idea is that ultimately that we're after is, how do we improve the bottom line for the company? How do we lower the cost of what we're doing? How do we improve the performance? How do we improve the talent mix? How do we go ahead and just deliver a superior value to our customers? And these are all things, all examples that I've shown you of what practical things that we do for our clients. So I'll just take a moment here for questions and answers. If you want to type something into the question bar, I think it's at the bottom here. Let's see if I can use my cursor. Right at the bottom here, there's a little way in which you could pose the questions. But before that happens, I also just want to thank you for attending this webinar. One of the things we're going to do is we're extending a special offer today towards the purchase of our OrgChart application. We're offering 25% off, which is good until October 15th. Use the code WEB25. WEB25, W-E-B, like in boy, 25. And the other possibility is you contact John Bruner, who's our Director of Customer Service, and he can give you more information if you would like that. Some of the other visualizations aside from OrgChart are things that we do as well. In some cases, those are customizations. Just let us know. 415-883. And while I'm taking some questions, I'm going to show you just the last slide here so you can see our contact information. We're here in Northern California. These are our telephone numbers that you can reach us at an 800 number. If you're joining us from other countries, we have offices in other places, but probably this is maybe the easiest way in the U.S. to get us, or contact us at sales@officeworkssoftware.com. Let me just take a look here and see if there's what other questions there are. One moment, please. We'll have copies of this presentation that will be available later. We'll send out a link to all of you who have attended so you can refer to it, and our contact information will be there. One other question has to do with the ability to create the maps that I was showing you, the floor plan. So that requires that that we would have the floor plan, and that would be something that would be like an AutoCAD drawing that would be scanned, and it would create the backdrop for the data. So that is a service we also provide. The other question is there's the skills mapping. Contact us about the skills mapping, how that works, and we'll show you how that can be just a wonderful strategic tool, and we'll walk you through it. The OrgChart applications are available on the web at officeworksoftware.com, or you can go to, here it is, OrgChartforVisio.com or officeworksoftware.com. Either of them will take you to the tools. And as always, we're just very happy for you to contact us anytime and just talk about ideas for visualizing your organization's data. So I'd like to thank you very much for joining us today, and look forward to any questions that you have, and wish you a very good day.